Well, unfortunately, these cool little blanking plugs, and I'm not swearing there, these blanking plugs for the chokes are going to have to go into another project. Because what I've realised is the cables, the new cables that I've bought, will not fit. These here, is it ferrules? These are intended to go into holes, both of these, without threads. In other words, what I had on previously. And so they fit into there like that. And these do not have a screw thread as well. They've got a plug in them already. So I'll just replace the caps, it's no big deal. I'll just clean them up so that they look nice and everything else matches, all the sizes and dimensions. With the fuel tank off and the airbox assembly off, it gives us easier access to the valves, and so I'm going to check the valves, the tappets. On the inlet side it's 0.02 of an inch, and on the exhaust side it's 0.04 of an inch, so it's tighter tolerances than the Norton Commando. I'm going to check the exhaust valve clearances first of all, starting with checking this one on the left hand side. And in order to do that, I need to make sure that this right hand side exhaust valve is completely open, meaning that the tappet is pushing down on the valve spring that is opening the valve inside the chamber, which means that this one is closed, and I can check the tappets as well. And so 0.04 of an inch on this side. So I put the bike into neutral, and I'm going to use the kickstarter this time to turn the engine over because the bike's actually sitting on a scissor jack. So I'm going to use my finger as well just to gauge when it's down. Nope, came up. I'd say that was it. So we have the little discernible tap. And now I have to get the 0.04 of an inch feeler gauge in, and we'll come in from the side here because you can't get down under the adjuster from here because of this. And this is super thin, and this is the wider one at 0.04. So I'm just trying to squeeze in this feeler gauge underneath. Yeah, that's a nice fit. It's sort of like I'd say a relaxed fit. I'm going to leave that. I'm not even going to adjust that. And then we'll try the other side. Yeah, again, I'm happy with that. It's kind of a sliding fit. So I'm not going to adjust these on the exhaust side. I'll do it another time after I've run the bike. And now to the trickier one, which is on the rear and the inlet valves. What I have done is I've removed one of the carburetors to get to the valves a little easier. I'm just going to repeat the process here on the inlet side. I'll turn the bike over again until this right hand inlet valve is completely open, meaning it's pushing down, it's opening the valve, and then I'll check the left hand one and then we'll switch and do the other side. It's going to be a little trickier because this one's a tighter tolerance. I think that's it. See if we can hear it. Just a clicking more than anything. This is going to be fun trying to get a 2/1000 feeler gauge in there. It's so flimsy you can't push it underneath. Yeah, it's going. Yeah, it's gone in. Yeah, it passes between. It's like foil. And then finally, this right hand side. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, same again. Smooth, close fit, but nevertheless it goes through between. Okay, well, thanks to the previous owner who did a very nice job in adjusting these valves. That's it. The next job will be to fit these very nice, new and very expensive fuel lines to the carburetor banjo fitting here and then to the fuel tank here. And I'm not putting the airbox on, so I'll need to be careful that I try and move and fit the pipes as they're supposed to be intended once the airbox is on, just in case they start to get hard. So from what I understand here, it's fitting it like this and then sort of twisting it round like that. It's a strange setup so that it goes round the rubber boot here on the airbox. That's going to be like that, so it needs to come forward. But I'm going to leave these off for now because I'm going to synchronize the carburetors first and it'll be easier for them to be exposed like this. I'll start by fitting the banjo. And I'll just fit this very loosely. And then these are set in this position. I thought perhaps they would wiggle around a bit. They don't. They may do, but so then just twisting and bending and hopefully not breaking. And I'll snug these up when the other side's on. I always prefer the clear lines so that you can see when the gas is flowing. These are really nice and they add a certain je ne sais quoi to the setup. I do like the clear lines. And we've got Whitworths and standard. Well, that's most of the cosmetic jobs done now, and next I'm going to turn my attention to the service and maintenance items, starting with an engine oil change. I don't really need to look in here because I'm going to drop the oil out anyway. Out of this backbone, this oiling frame, this is referred to as the oil reservoir on this model, so I'll drop that out first of all. Just going to start by dropping the oil by removing the drain plug here, and then I'll remove this whole filter assembly afterwards. Oh, that's a long screw. There we go. Great, next I'm going to remove the 4 nuts that hold on this filter assembly. I can feel it coming. Okay, come on. And I have ordered new gaskets, so if these go, we're okay. Oh well, gasket's gone, never mind. Well, that looks interesting. Bit sludgy, but reasonably clean. Just going to take a look at the sump plate and this filter assembly on the bench. I've just lifted it off the bench after I removed it, so I haven't touched it yet, and I'm not seeing any signs of metal. I'll clean this all up, of course. Might even put it on the surface plate as well. There's just the usual gunk, but nothing bad, and I'll flatten this out as well. Oh, no, that's just strands, I think, from the filter itself. Nothing scary though, as I look through it. A bit sludgy though, like you see. So I'm glad I did this. I was always going to do it, but it gives you a sense of how mucky it is and how it builds up. Inside though, it's very nice and clean. And the plate's in good condition. So I'll clean these all up first of all. Okay, that took a little while actually to get this nice and smooth on the surface plate, getting rid of that old gasket as well, but it looks like we've got some nice, clean, flat mating surfaces now. There's the oil filter assembly, again similarly, cleaned that up, banged out some of the dents so it's nice and flat now, And then I'm probably going to use one of these washers with a rubber seal in the middle instead of the copper washer that I was going to anneal. And then a new set of nice gaskets from Andover Norton, thank you very much. And so this is now ready to put back on the bike. And here's the bottom of the oil reservoir of the oil in frame section, and I've removed the old gasket. That was a little challenging. I think I've got most of it. So I've cleaned it all up. So the new gasket and clean oil filter assembly is ready to go back on now. For the next job, I'm going to drain the crankcase. This is the filter plug here. Whoa! Well, that looks a little gunky as well. We'll take a look at that on the bench. Here it is on the bench, and yeah, it just looks okay. Nothing too bad. I'll just clean this out thoroughly, clear the filter. That's a bit watery, actually. That would explain some of that frothiness where the oil and possibly water or condensation has mixed. Yeah. And then I definitely will anneal this thick washer here before this goes back on the bike. Next, I'm going to replenish some of the oil that it dropped out of the crankcase. So I've got about 150 millilitres of this 2050 racing oil VR1. I like it very much, so I use that in most of my bikes. Please don't tell my wife about me using this bottle. It's one of her baking bottles. Oop. perfect size. And a perfect concertina squeeze application. And I'm just going to squirt it through here, through this timing plug. Hope this works. Yeah, that worked great. I'll leave it there. It's just below the bar that the dipstick normally hangs off, and then I'll top it up once the bike's running.